You are listening to the Mark Guzman Podcast Experience. Now, let's talk about some fad diets, because there's a lot of diets out there that, you see trends, they get very popular. The low carb diet, Atkins, just a whole variety. I mean, I've seen like the chocolate diet. There's in fact, I heard one that was like a hot dog diet, like just some crazy ones out there. So
totally.
So I would assume number one is stay away from all these fad diets, right?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's, fad diets, I think, are intriguing to people because everybody wants an easy fix. Everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody wants to have their cake and eat it too, right? Like, oh, well, then that must be my problem, or I can still have what I want. And it's just, instead of just getting back to good, healthy eating, right? So I think that's where people are drawn to these kind of diets. Of course, some of them there's concerns with, like looking at a holistic level, like, how well nourished and the quality of the food and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole nother problem. But one thing that all fad diets have in common is calorie restriction. And that's really what it comes down to. If you restrict calories in versus calories out, you're going to lose weight. I mean, that's just it. The problem is that a lot of these fad diets, they're not sustainable. This is something that will work. It's a quick fix. You lose weight, but then what? If you have addiction to processed foods, you lose a bunch of weight, eventually that hormone dysregulation your body's going to say, okay, I'm starving now. I lost way too much weight too fast. Your metabolism will start to slow. Your hunger hormones will start to elevate. This is all like survival mode for the body will kick in, right? It's how we've evolved over all of these years, and we will become ravenous and we'll go right back to our old bad habits. So there's not really any sustainability there with the fad diets. The other thing is like poor understanding. You mentioned like Atkins or low carb. Now the whole ketogenic thing is like everybody's keto, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not that I necessarily have anything against keto, but the reality is that people who don't have a deep understanding of nutrition have no idea what they're doing. The idea of the body transitioning to burning fat for energy, on the surface, it's like, oh, wow, if my body's using fat for energy, then I'm burning my fat. Well, no, your body's using the fat that you eat as energy. It's not using the fat on your body. If you're still eating too many calories, nothing's going to change, or people go low carb. And then what happens is the body starts using up all of its glycogen stores. So you lose weight, glycogen's emptied. All of a sudden I lost 15 pounds. Oh my God, this is awesome. And then it's not working anymore, So I think that's really the biggest issue with fad is quality, poor understanding of the science, or it's just not sustainable.
Yeah. And now when you talk about carbs and fats and proteins, it's not that simple. I mean, there's a deeper level to each of those, correct? I mean, fats, you have saturated, you have monopolysaturated fats. Yeah. I mean, it gets a lot more complex, and each of those affect your body in a completely different way.
Absolutely. And then we need them all. They're all important. But then there's a poor understanding of what those fats mean and what's a quality source and what's not. Saturated fats are totally demonized, but naturally occurring saturated fat from a high quality source, such as animal fat, is probably one of the most healthy fats on the planet that we can get. If it comes from a high quality animal, it's loaded with omega-3 essential fatty acids, which are anti-inflammatory. It's loaded with fat soluble vitamins, particularly vitamin D, vitamin E, right? And then you've also got the fact that it's saturated is what protects it from oxidation. Oxidized fats are one of the biggest causes or largest causes of low-grade inflammation in the body that lead to disease. So like vegetable oils are probably one of the worst things that we can ingest. One of my teachers used to call it like the white bread of the fat world, because it's basically been stripped from its whole source. Let's take avocado oil. There's a lot of hype on that right now. Well, avocados are super healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good nutrition, good fats, right? A lot of good fat soluble vitamins. But when you strip everything away and all you're left with is an oil, there's nothing left. And then there's nothing to protect that oil from oxidation, which is basically like oxidation is just like rusting metal in a sense. And light and heat and air are what oxidize anything, including metal, including oil, including our insides in our body. So yeah, having a poor understanding of fats is a problem for sure.
Yeah, and if you're a vegetarian or vegan, you also have to supplement with vitamins and minerals that you don't get from animal meat, such as vitamin D and B, right?
So B12 is
B12.
the biggest one. Yeah, B12 is a vitamin that you're only going to get from your high quality animal sources. Now, we start talking about factory farmed animals that are eating grains, corn, soy. It's a completely different story, right? Because these animals are not being fed a proper diet. They're not being fed a nutrient dense diet. And if they can't extract the nutrients in their diet, it's not going to translate to them.
Okay,
But a high, go
that's
ahead.
a very interesting point right there because there's also a big thank you for listening to this podcast short. For more podcast content, be sure to subscribe to all of our podcast channels on YouTube, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Libsyn, Castbox, Podbean, and literally anywhere else you listen to podcasts.